Nah, MAGA, come back to the front. Come back to the front. Y'all was all loud and bold and proud of everything. No. This is exactly what you voted for. Don't sit up here talking about something you were lied to. No, baby, you believed the lie you told yourself. You were trying to rationalize the thoughts of an irrational person, and now you sitting up here acting like you're in confusion. Nah, baby, this is exactly what you voted for.
I need to know if you saw a buried report that Texas overnight has nobody working their fields. They ramped up their ice raids, which Florida and Texas have been doing for months. This is not new. But their farms right now, nobody has shown up to work. They have animals in danger of dying, of getting sick, because they don't have the workforce. And I saw another creator about 2 weeks ago say this is why they just ramped it up in California, especially in California, because they're trying to crash our economy, which is apparent. It's part of Project 2025. If everybody's hungry, if everybody's poor, if everybody's starving, we're easier to control.
So you won't believe the irony playing out deep in the heart of Texas. The very MAGA hat-wearing farmers who were once very loyal to Trump are now watching their farms fall apart. And this is because the very immigration policies they cheered for have come back to bite them. Because they voted for ICE crackdowns, they voted for mass deportations, and even now they are left with empty fields, rotting crops, and no one to do the work for them. So let's watch, and then we'll break down what's really happening, why it matters, and why this is much bigger than just red state regret. We'll be back to unpack.
Multiple Texas farms shut down after almost 100% of workforce vanishes overnight. In a stunningly swift overnight change, some Texas farm operations had to shut down after losing virtually all of their workforce, an exodus triggered by the increase in immigration raids and increased enforcement. The ripple effects of these raids are the gift that keeps on giving and will be felt nationwide. Unpicked crops are now left unharvested. Livestock were left untended, and rural economies are on edge. The story isn't just a tale of woe for Texas farms. It's a warning for American agribusiness, food prices, and communities that keep food on our plates. I need you to share this with every Republican you know. And you don't even need to wait for their response. They just need to know what's happening. And this is part of my line of work. I deal with commercial farmers, including these small farmers, as clients. And I cannot tell you how this is the beginning of the complete collapse of our economy under this Project 2025 administration that doesn't know what they're doing. You talk about the immediate shuttering of farms, because this is actually what's happening with the food, with the harvests that are lying there completely rotting. That is a loss of food to local food distributors, local grocery stores, local restaurants, hospitals. They sell their harvests, all sorts of vegetables, to businesses within the state of Texas. This is where you can go into your local grocery store, and now you're going to see hardly any vegetables or fruit, depending on what they're growing, or a shortage of meat. This is what's going to happen. Now, all of the other industries that support farming, you've got local pesticide, herbicide, fertilizer suppliers that are just, their sales are going to plummet. These farmers aren't going to be purchasing that. You've got H-2A workers who are now gone, migrant workers who are now gone. They were paying taxes. Even if they didn't have social security numbers, they were given tax numbers, tax ID numbers. So now you got millions of dollars just poof, gone overnight from these Texas communities.
And some articles that caught my eye were out of Texas. And if you haven't read these yourself, you want to. Hispanic workers are not showing up in the fields due to what? ICE raids. And I was glad to see ICE is in Texas. I mean, the raids are at such a level. Farms are just shutting down at a really high level. Being in California, I was glad to see we're not alone in this area. The reality of this impact financially going forward is huge. I did a series of videos a long time ago. The impact this is going to have longer term on our economy, it's horrendous. You know, we have Trump, while campaigning, saying just going after hardened criminals. Well, we saw how that played out. He lied to us. He deceived us. And going after any and everybody brown skin. Here recently, he was going to give a bit of reprieve. That lasted for what, 5 days? And then again, we have here, what, in Oxnard, them chasing after Hispanic workers. Let's call it what it is. It's a genocide. They're going after people with brown skin. When you take out Hispanic folks, these laborers, and the hotel industry, construction, the restaurant, farming, etc., from an economic standpoint, that's going to be a disaster. Crops don't pick themselves. Dishes don't clean themselves. But yet they're hell-bent on one thing. They want these folks out of our society. And secondly, these ICE folks, it's a head count thing. DHS is upside down, what, $1 billion right now and more? These ICE guys running around, they have never in their life made this much money. And these bounty hunters. And this is a privatization situation that these poor souls getting rounded up. It's just disgusting.
So folks, these are alarm bells ringing for the entire United States, and our government is not listening. Overnight, multiple farms in the state of Texas completely shut down. And the reason for this shutdown was because they have lost almost 100% of their workforce. Now, we know this is the result of the immigration raids and stricter enforcement, but the ripple effect is going to be felt all the way across this country. Now, you've got crops that are rotting in the fields. You have livestock that is not being attended to at all, and that takes a lot of personnel. And we're talking, so now we're getting every area of food to include meat. And the communities that surround these farms, those businesses and those people who depend on the income from these farms, it's creating disasters for small communities in Texas. Now, this is not stopping at Texas farms. This is going to end up all the way across America, especially in the breadbasket, the middle of the nation, because they have tons of immigrant help. But folks, the alarm bells are ringing. Your food on your plate is being affected. So you got to think about it. It won't be soon until either prices go ridiculously high or you just won't have any food to buy. Now, you've got crops that are rotting in the fields. You have livestock that is not being attended to at all. And that takes a lot of personnel. And we're talking, so now we're getting every area of food to include meat. And the communities that surround these farms, those businesses and those people who depend on the income from these farms, it's creating disasters for small communities in Texas.
Farms in deep red Texas are shut down, and Donald Trump is the reason. Now, as you know, Donald Trump has shifted ICE from focusing on criminal immigrants to going after easier targets such as job sites to pump his numbers up. But farms are hurting because of this, as many of their workers are either being deported or not showing up for fear of being caught up in these raids. And because of this, they're essentially shut down and no work can be done. Just take a listen to one farmer.
3 weeks it started to slow, but this last week or so has been huge. That's when it's like zero people wanting to come out and
Yeah, zero people going to work the farms. And while, yes, these farmers are in the find out phase, we're all going to be in it, because they're talking that our food supply is going to be shut down or have major interruptions. And it's not just Texas, it's California and Washington. We are finding out that, yes, immigrants do help the American economy. Immigrants are part of the American fabric. We just didn't realize it till it was too late.
So there's reports coming out right now about farms in Texas losing nearly 100% of their staff due to immigrant workers not turning up because of fear of the ICE raids. So let's talk about that. Texas farms generate around $32 billion a year in revenue for the state, huge, valuable, and there's around 100,000 and there's hundreds of thousands of farm workers in Texas. And around 30% of those are foreign born, and around 17% of those are undocumented. So there's a lot of immigrants and a substantial number of undocumented immigrants. Now, the ICE raids have caused people to stay at home because of the fear that they're going to get deported. This means that farms are losing their staff. Some dairies have lost half their workers overnight. That's halts milk operations and also means the herd isn't being tended to. But it's not 100% of staff because less than 30% are immigrants in the first place. So we need to clarify 2 points. First of all, it is an issue because farms require a lot of manual labour. And even if you're losing 10% of the staff, that's going to be a bigger impact, but it's not 100%. Now, the reason it's a problem right now is this harvest is going on right now. So it's the winter wheat harvest, so it's planted at winter, gets harvested now, and around 50% of wheat would be harvested right now. And it's a critical phase. That's not going to happen if the staff aren't there. You then got a lot of fruit being harvested right now: cantaloupes, watermelons, peaches, plums, blackberries. They're all being harvested right now in either central or northern Texas. And these delays could either cause a loss of the crop or a reduced quality and therefore reduced revenue for the farmers. So it's actually quite a big issue. There's also secondary effects. So hay and silage is having troubles being harvested. That means there's going to be a long tail impact because the lack of hay now is going to impact the feed supplies later on. You've also got problems with logistics, so haulage, delivery, and then food processing plants. So think about abattoirs, etc. If the immigrant workers don't turn up for that either, you're not going to be able to get the food processed even once it is going from the farm to the factory. So this is quite a big issue. Not 100% of staff, but it is a significant percentage of staff, which is going to impact food supplies.
So some bad news for U.S. agriculture. Farms in Texas are shutting down at an increasing rate. This is mainly due to the fact that their workforce has literally vanished 100% overnight in some cases. Of course, the immigration raids by Donald Trump's ICE department is causing this, and it's leading to complications for the business, and in many cases these businesses are actually shutting down. The issue with this, of course, is that the supply chains will be affected. Prices will be increased as food scarcity increases as well.
Decades, Texas agriculture has quietly depended on the undocumented labor, especially seasonal migrant workers who harvest and even plant and maintain crops under very brutal conditions for very little pay. They are the invisible backbone of these billion-dollar farms. But since the Trump era, ICE crackdowns escalated. Many of these laborers have been detained, deported, or even driven into hiding. And we can see that farmers who once chanted, "Build the wall," are now watching acres of produce rot in the sun because no one is left to pick them. And even one farmer admitted that, saying that we didn't think it would affect us. Can you imagine? But now hiring American workers has proven nearly impossible. The work is too demanding, the pay is too low, and even the younger generation simply aren't or isn't interested. And even with rising wages, it's still not enough to fill the massive labor void ICE has left behind. So this isn't just a Texas problem. This is a nationwide reckoning. It exposes the deep contradictions between anti-immigration rhetoric and economic reality. And the same people who pushed for deportations are now calling for worker visas. And some are even begging for leniency. But we can see that many families for many families, it's quite too late. And these MAGA farmers are realizing something too, and many tried to warn them about. America's food system relies on the very immigrants they voted to remove. And now, in their own words, we are paying the price. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section.